Welcome the night.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Horror Night Oasis, a radio show where we discuss all the latest movies and news from the world of horror. Joining me tonight, as always, is my co-host Ian. Ian, are you there?
I am.
How are you this week, sir?
Tired, and my wife came home early due to running a 103 fever, so she got tested for COVID, and so she got tested for COVID, which coincidentally there was a COVID testing facility right in front of her work, so she literally just walked over there and got tested. So now we're quarantining her. She's quarantining herself. So,
well, fingers crossed.
Been better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely not fun. I know when I had to go through that. Well, again, when I was going through my surgery, it wasn't a surgery, but I had to go to the hospital and do a bunch of stuff health-wise. I had to go through the whole testing procedure as well, and luckily, again, if we don't call you, you're clear. So, all right, I didn't get a call back, so I guess I'm good to go to the hospital Friday. But nonetheless, we're here to get all that daily life out of our system for a short span of time, and we're here to discuss our Halloween grab bag marathon. We're continuing on with another film, and our film tonight, I guess we'll just go ahead, Ian, and get into this because there's really not much to really discuss with this one, is Bad Apples. Bad Apples, when we first, again, we put all the stuff down and we decide on it as we go week by week. And this one, it had an interesting premise. Sadly, that premise kind of doesn't live up to what it shows on screen a little bit. We'll get into that. And we're, assuming it's a slasher film. It is a slasher film. I was thinking last week, maybe it's a little bit sort of like the Strangers, the original Strangers, not the Prey at Night, where, masked people attack a married couple. And that's why, I mentioned that last week when we decided on it. And you don't really get that in a way, but you it's weird. We'll get into it. But nonetheless, so the film starts up doing a better fucking version of the beginning of Annabelle than the fucking Annabelle, where it has a pregnant lady and she gets she's pregnant and it's Halloween night, October 31st or October 30th, whatever they put on there. They didn't know exactly when Halloween was. They said October 30th, and then it was like October 31st, and then 30. I don't know. But nonetheless, it's Halloween. Kids are trick-or-treating, and a guy comes in, which later on we learn that it's a guy that she was seeing. Yeah, I don't know what the whole ending. We gotta get into the ending too, because that's where this film lost me a little bit. Not lost me in general, just like why was it needed? Because it's too on the nose, is right there in front of you. You didn't need clarification, but nonetheless, we'll get into that towards the end. So she gets stabbed, and she says they're yours, and we learn that again they were a couple, and she left him for this new guy. And the new guy comes in, again, you don't see the new guy, and she gives birth to twin babies. And then it's so many years later, and the twin babies have survived, and they're grown up, but they're sort of sadistic, childish in a way, because all they do is roam around, cause trouble and havoc, and wear cherubic-like masks. One is orange, one is green in the hairline. The orange hair sister is the more aggressive, while the green-haired mask sister is the more sort of laid, not really laid back, but she's like the second-hand, right-hand man in a sense. She's just there to like make trouble. She's not the one that does the harm in a sense, even though she does a little bit later. But nonetheless, that's like our introduction, is like the girls surviving this horrific, as newborns, and then now that they're teenagers in middle school, they're misbehaving, misbehaving teenagers that just goes around causing havoc wherever they go for some reason, because they live in a trailer or an RV, I guess, RV trailer, and it's Halloween and they decide to go do stuff, and they play of course they go to door trick or treat, and then that's when we're introduced to our other characters, who is Ella, and she just moved there with her husband, and she's starting to work at the new school, and she's ready to go in on Monday. And so her and her husband, who is a nurse or a doctor, maybe a nurse practitioner, he works at the hospital that's like a couple miles away, and they're just moved into their house, and she wants him to help and put stuff up and rearrange the house, basically get everything out of boxes and put stuff away. And then we're introduced to a couple neighbors, and then he goes off to work. He wants to buy pumpkins early on, like it's Halloween, we got to buy pumpkins. And then he goes to work, and then the two sisters start going door to door playing trick or treat, and then that's when they start sort of playing games and killing people. And then that's technically the movie until they reach Ella's house, and then that's where it becomes sort of like The Strangers in a way. Maybe a little bit like the original Purge. I can't say the first Purge because there's a film called The First Purge, so it's the original Purge, where, like, again, the two girls are, like, sneaking around the house, attacking people. The movie is serviceable. It's not great. It's okay. The way that I said it was like it's sufficient, because it's no harm, no foul, because it's you get your slasher aspects of the film. You get very little plot wise. It's just very straightforward, and to the point, and not much really happens. There is some cool, okay deaths. I liked the cat scene, and I liked the jack-o'-lantern scene towards the end. I kind of wish he played up with that a little bit more, because he really didn't do anything with the pedophile. They could have done something interesting with him, but they didn't, sadly. But I give, again, 2 decent, okay kills. I mean, you don't really get to see, someone actually fucking stuff a cat down someone's throat. So that's interesting, to say the least. But yeah, there's really not much to the film, sadly. I mean, I like the sisters. I like the way that they acted. They were sort of like mischievous Harley Quinn acting in a sense. There's just the way they're going around, ponytails, and they're here and then they're behind, they're outside and one's inside, and they're just going back and forth, just trying to do harm, I guess, for some reason. Really, no point necessarily. It's sort of like the original the Strangers, like Because You Were Home, in a sense. But this one is, I guess, because they didn't get no candy when they did the trick or treat, and everyone was pushing them away, then that's what caused them to go crazy. I mean, even Ella brings that up when she does a whole timeout situation, like, why me? Was it because of this? But yeah, I mean, there's really not much to the film, and it's sad because it was an interesting premise, and I mean, they kind of did the premise, but it's just not to the point that you would expect it to be at. You'd expect, a husband and, both the couple going back and forth, but that doesn't happen. There's like a revelation between the husband and his coworker at the hospital, where it's like, that just seems like out of nowhere. Like, why is that necessarily, why is that necessary to the plot, even though it kind of comes up, but like when that comes around, like there's still like no sympathy because like, you're not really connected to the husband all that much when it comes around. And like, I know what they're trying to get. They're trying to get like some emotion out of it between the husband and the wife, Ella and I forgot his name, Robert. It was so easy. Robert. And because it's like, because there's like that whole subtext of like they tried to have children and they didn't have children. She works at a school to be around children. The whole whole little subtext there, subplot. But yeah, there's like, honestly, there's not really too much to the film, sadly, and that's kind of its detriment. Ian, what's your thoughts on Bad Apples?
Well, I felt like, especially what you were, just that last little part where the husband and the new coworker, I felt like, one, that was completely unnecessary. It was like their neighbor came up with fucking stab wounds, multiple stab wounds, and she's just going on and on about life alert and how she's just because
it felt like
that
an
happened to
infomercial.
him. Yeah, and it's like, just because it happened to him doesn't mean she's in little pieces. You know what? Yeah, you're right. But she's like, no, you go ahead and be with your wife. Like, then what the hell was the whole point in it? Like, I don't know. It was just, I felt like that was kind of dumb because it was just like, if you're just going to, I mean, like you said, it was just there to set up the fact that, she had a miscarriage. And I'm like, okay, I get that, but, like, they could have been brought up earlier. Like, before they, like, that could have been, like, the reason why they moved, like, and we could have got that sooner instead of having that pointless scene that just chased its tail just to have the same outcome. That, and they both just walked out on the neighbor getting stabbed to death. Or, like, all those stab wounds.
Like, I'll watch over you. And again, like, how long was that procedure? Because he was in the ER. I mean, he had multiple stab wounds and fucking so many slices and sliced up everywhere on his body. Yeah, like, oh, it's fine. Yeah, just go on. Just like, what? It's just like, well, again, everyone, he's the pedophile, whatever. Everyone knows it, you know. No one cares.
I mean,
yeah,
that
yeah,
and like if I felt like they would have at least like let him leave, like yeah, go check on your wife since this is your neighbor.
Yeah,
I don't know. That just bothered me really bad.
Yeah, but there's a lot of just like issues with like, again, I wouldn't say reasonings why, but because again, you don't need that all the time. I mean, this one, I get it. I mean, I guess they've survived something evil and it continued on in their bloodstream for some reason. I don't know. It looked like they were the one guy who I guess who decided, the new, not the girl's actual father who stabbed their mother, but the one that she was with took them under his wing and cared for him in a RV trailer, and they just decided to wear cherubic orange and green-haired masks
right,
forever. And it just seemed like they were cared for. I mean, he didn't seem like he was a alcoholic father or anything, the new guy. I think that was Adam Rifkin, too, who portrayed the dad. But I guess he might have been alcoholic. I don't know, because like they snuck out when he was sleeping so they can go do the acts of violence to people. Again, it's just like, again, there really wasn't too much. Again, they just attacked 3 people. 4. But still. And then I guess we can get into a little bit of the ending. Because it's after everything's said and done, this is like where it kind of falls apart, in my opinion. Because like this film, like they could have ended it when it ended, and it would have been fine. It was like it was already like, I think initially it's like 84 minutes, not including credits. So they could have, that extra 10 minutes could have been trimmed, and then a fine, like I said, a sufficient serviceable slasher film. Didn't really need, but then to go on an extra 10 minutes just explaining everything that just happened, with 3 characters that are just there. And this is like years later in the film world. And it's a pregnant lady who's at the house that the beginning of the film started at, where the woman got stabbed, and again the twins survived. And just to show you or tell you exactly what you just watched for the first hour and fucking 70 minutes, hour and 10 minutes.
Right.
And there is no need for that. There's just to say that the girls survived, even though the one got a knife up her throat. And I don't know if you can survive that. I'm pretty sure you can't, because that's that's one of the main veins, and that was straight up under the mouth, under the chin, directly up the head. The other one got her. I think she got her throat slit too. I can't remember it exactly. Again, I just watched it, so I don't know if she got stabbed in her chest or her throat. But both of them was pretty much dead, and they left it open in this extra 10 minutes that, he could be alive because he disappeared, and no bodies were found. Like, what? But that last extra 10 minutes really made this film kind of, put a bad mark. If I had to say, like, it's like that movie Circle of Eight, where the film's good and then it has like like an extended ending, where for some reason they decided to add an extended ending. And so now if I ever watched the film again, I would end it at the closing of the cabinet scene, because it makes more sense than that fucking extended ending. And that's like how this one is, where it's just, there's no need after everything is done for this extra 10 minutes.
Right.
Ian, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, like I 100% agree with that, because it's, it was just, I honestly, like, because I was watching it on Tubi, and like right at the end, like right in between, a commercial break happened, and so I thought that was the end of the movie. So I got up and walked away for a minute, got me a drink and stuff, and I came back and I I saw that and I was like, the movie, I thought like maybe another movie popped up because Tubi does that.
Mm-hmm.
And I paused it to see what I was watching, and I was like, oh, this is the same damn movie. Why? And like, the girl telling the story of what just happened was super irritating. I was like,
mm-hmm.
she wouldn't shut up. I was like, I'm like, I get it. Like, we just watched what happened. Thanks for the recap. And I was like, it really did not make any sense of why they just needed the whole recap of what you just watched. But I don't know. I was kind of hoping that, like, these girls were, like, I don't know, possessed or something. Like, it's like they do this every year or something. But no, it's just, well, hey, you want to just go out and kill a bunch of random people? Sure.
Yeah, and then again earlier when they killed their principal, and like the one lady who the attendant that works the office there, she saw the two girls again in the masks with the principal, and then she leaves to go on her break, and then comes back and he's dead. So that would put two and two together, like, oh, the girls did this, But there's no mention of that ever again. Like, I would assume, like, the girls would go after her maybe, later on in the movie, just to, in that little thing, just so, like, all loose ends are tied up, but it doesn't happen. It's just like, oh, it's swept under the rug.
Yeah,
there's just like, there's nothing really to the film, sadly. What is that?
Yeah. I said, yeah, and that also kind of didn't make sense. Like, I thought they would at least, hold off and wait for her to come back from her break and just, off her too. But that, and you're like, you would have seen that some eyebrows would have been raised. Like, oh, hey, there's a killer on the loose. This is the suspects. Because we have cameras in schools. But no, I just thought that was just odd that, like, I didn't mind it. I thought it was kind of, funny watching them, kill how they killed them with the flagpole. And I was like, okay. I was like, okay, this is off to an okay start.
Yeah, and that goes to another point I wanted to make where, like, again, the orange-haired masked girl is more dominant of the twins, and the green-haired, just like the sort of the henchman in a sense. But again, because she's the one that does like the dirty work, and then like the green-haired girl's like looking at her funny. But then again, they go the whole point of like they talk, they don't talk, they don't know what they're doing. Like, I don't know what the point is there either. Like, I know they're wanting to be like, again, sort of this mysterious aura to them. But, like, they go around just like, again, they do the trick or treat, and then, of course, like, they're girls, they talk. But I don't know if it would have been a good idea to have them stay quiet or just what they did. Because, again, they don't really do that much, even when they do talk. They just say trick or treat, and then when Ella asks them how old they are, they just start listing off numbers. That's about it. So there's really no reason for them to talk in general. So it's just there.
Yeah.
Again, it didn't. I don't know if it really needed them talking or not. Again, that's just me. Because again, it's just like there's not that much else. I guess you have to have them to have some kind of personality as killers. Even though again the green-haired one was kind of like against it in a way, and then she wasn't, and then she was, because when they killed the principal, she was the one that's like looking at the orange-haired sister weird. Like, what are you doing? But then, like, she's making all the noise and distracting people while the orange-haired sister came and, like, stuffed a freaking cat down a woman's throat and other stuff to happen throughout the film. So it's like she's not innocent either, but, she's just like, again, like the Joker, the Harley to the Joker in a sense, even though they're both sort of like Harleys. But, like, again, the orange-haired sister is more of the Joker, where she's more adamant about chaos in a sense. But yeah, it's just like I said, it's sufficient. There's not really, like I said, it's very simple, and it's not.
Yeah.
I probably, again, this is better than On Ethel, even though there's not much to it. But it is a more coherent movie and sensible in the fact. So it's definitely the better of the two so far. And plus, again, the cat scene and the jack-o'-lantern scene kind of knocks it up a peg. Whereas, like, well, at least that's cool. They could have done more stuff about it.
Right.
But it wasn't, like I said, go ahead.
I was going to say, it was definitely, I liked it, the atmosphere of it better than I did Aunt Ethel. And I really wanted to like Aunt Ethel, too. But you get what you get. These films.
That's a grab bag for you. But yeah, this one's definitely the better of the two. Like I said, it's serviceable because it's pretty straightforward slasher. There's some okay kills. Again, you only get like 3 kills in one terror scene where they terrorize the main character. Well, you get 4 because of the principal. I forgot. So 4 kills, and then the terrorizing Ella. 2 of the kills are decent. The first one's just, with the principal, it's fine. Like I said, it's serviceable because it's like sets up everything. You thought it'd go a little bit more deranged, and it kind of does. Again, the cat and the jack-o'-lantern's pretty good. But again, they could have done more with the pedophile character. I don't know, the whole pedophile scene when he's just on their yard smoking, that just seemed like there was a joke there I was missing or something, but it was just, I don't know. It just seemed, again, I didn't mind it because it was like, why is he there on their lawn smoking in general? But nonetheless, but yeah, it's fine. It's serviceable, sufficient because it's a slasher movie. There could have been more to it, but for what it is, it's fine. I know this guy. I looked up if this guy did another film, and he did another one called Infernal, which is about it's found footage about a killer girl. So he went from a little kid to teenage girls. So I have to go back. I do have that film. I haven't been able to watch it, so maybe I'll get around to it and check it out for October because I've been trying to get a lot of stuff watched and knocked out in my room here and make some space. So I definitely probably give that a watch. See how that compares to Bad Apples because we'll see. I mean, found footage, we'll see. But I don't really have too much else to say about this film because there's not much really to say. It's sadly just
there
simple. It's not as crazy or as rambunctious as like On Ethel or any other during the Clown Marathon. This one's just, it's sufficient. It's fine. It's a slasher movie. You get some decent okay kills. I mean the characters. The Bad Apples themselves are interesting. Again, they have interesting masks, the cherubic, green hair, orange hair. They have a sort of, each have their own personality. And, I mean, just don't watch that last 10 minutes. There's no need to. Like, after everything is done and you see that there's 10 minutes left, I would just end it because there's no reason for that last 10 minutes, and it doesn't add anything to the film. It's just padding to make it a feature runtime. It felt like it's like when you have those films, it's like, oh, this is like, I think we've reviewed films like that before. We're like, okay, this is like an hour and 20 minutes, and then like 25 minutes of that is slow crawling credits. It's like, oh my God. And so it was just like an hour and 7-minute movie. It was just like that long ass slow credit crawl. But this one actually just tells you everything that you just watched for no reason. Like, okay, whatever. But I don't have anything else to say. Ian, you got any final words on Bad Apples?
Not really.
Yeah, sadly there's not much to say. Like I said, it's fine. Serviceable, but nothing that good. I mean, I love the kill. I love seeing them shove a cat down a woman's throat, and I like that jack-o'-lantern scene. So, I mean, there's stuff there. It just needed reworked properly and like making it more efficient in like story-wise, because you can have the two characters going around causing havoc, but you gotta give me a reason, not for the kills, because again, kills can happen no matter what, but like for the characters, like the central characters of Ella and Robert. Like Robert comes back again. That whole scene with Robert just fell out of place. They could have done more terrorizing with Robert coming back to the house, and again, it'd be treading on old territory. But hey, I'd rather it tread on old territory than like, as long as it makes sense to the central story. But yeah just sitting there and watching them do 10 minutes of nothing and a Life Alert commercial in a movie I didn't need. But nonetheless, I think that's going to do it this week for our Halloween Grab Bag Marathon film of Bad Apples. Ian, sadly, it wasn't a big talking one, but nonetheless, we still got some good points in there. And we'll talk to you next week. We already have our film planned for next week. I'm looking forward to it. So until then, Ian, take care. You keep me posted on your wife. And everyone else, stay safe out there, and we will see you next time.
Good night.